There we are. So we've had somebody in the group who has got 5 children and they're separated. So now feeling suddenly very alone. And with 5 children at a range of ages, which includes some that are grown up, they're not giving any help at home. So she's very low and depressed, which I totally understand, and using alcohol as a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
And I just feel this member's pain. She's got a lot on her plate, and alcohol feels like the refuge, but also as part of the problem. How does she begin to deal with that?
Yeah, so I think when you're really faced with these kind of massive knotted problems, my own experience of change is that, for years it felt like there were lots of little decisions all piled on top of each other, and if I tried to solve one problem, it made another problem worse, and then I try and make a drastic change, and then something else would happen, and it's really easy to end up feeling very stuck when you've got lots of interconnected problems. So I think the first thing to remember to do is to take a breath and focus on the things which you can control. There's this really nice model which is circles, and in the center you've got a circle of control. These are the things that you can do, and that's a lot about looking after yourself and the decisions that you can make day to day. And then you've got a circle of influence, so things that you can do something about, but there's lots of other people involved in making decisions. And then beyond that, everyone's got this circle of concern, and depending on what's going on in the world, and there's a lot going on in the world, often our attention can be on the stuff that we can do literally nothing about. So one of the first things to do is remember to take a breath and to focus on what's immediately within your control. So for this person, one of the things that she can't control, frustrating as it is how her children respond. So that's a really hard thing as a parent. I say this as a parent of now an adult in his 20s. You can influence your children, but that making them do anything you're on a hiding to nothing. So when it comes to your children's behavior in this, you really are talking about persuasion. Now, in this case, this particular person who posed this question, I remember it, there were some adult children. So clearly you can have a very direct conversation with them about pulling their weight around the house. They're not children. They should be contributing. Even if they're not contributing financially, they should be helping up, cleaning up after themselves, all of that stuff that grown-ups do. There's some responsibility that they can take. With younger children, you're looking for tasks which a younger child will do, probably because it's a bit fun, and so there's some persuasion and other stuff that you're going to need to do with younger children. So that's kind of the kid stuff, and it's really important to realize that you may not be able to shift that very much. The thing that you can control is the stuff that's going on around depression and the stuff that's going on around alcohol. And one of the things that I'd say, so in the world of mental health, they talk about what's called dual diagnosis, which is really where there's a mental health problem and it's exacerbated by substance use of some kind. And those two issues can become really complicatedly interconnected, so you can experience depression and then find yourself drinking as a way of coping with it, but then, as most people find, your drinking makes your depression worse. So then you're left with the question of, what do I start with? And I think the best advice, particularly if you're in talking therapies, is to start with the mental health issue. There's lots of stuff that you can do at a very practical level to deal with the drinking issues, and all of the stuff that we teach in our courses about the behavioral clues and the external stuff going on around you, thinking about where, when, who, with, and what you drink, and making practical changes to make it more likely that you stick to your drinking patterns that you want. But underneath all of that, when there's other stuff going on, that's the bit to focus on. And that's really important, actually, if you're choosing a therapist, is to make sure that you don't end up in conversations which are always swinging back towards the drinking. That's a really comfortable place for a therapist to talk about, I have to say, and there's lots of practical, there's lots of practical stuff that you can do. So you can very easily come up with solutions, but you're not going to address the underlying issue. So if you are seeking professional support, then make sure that you are talking to somebody who understands something about the complexity of addiction, but also who is going to keep a very clear focus on helping you understand and talk about and cope with depression as an issue. And that will get you a long way towards fixing the problems, or at least addressing and understanding the problems which are leading you to drink more than you want to. So yeah, as I say, it's about focus on the stuff that you can control and focus on the core issue, which is going to be about your mental well-being. And in all of that, whatever else happens, practicing self-care, being kind to yourself, recognizing that you're doing a really difficult thing, and making sure that you are as supported as you can be by the people around you and by people in the Club Soda community. And if you've got questions, even if you're just having a shit day, everyone has shit days, reach out, and make sure that people know and ask for the support that you need.
I think that's really important, because when you've got a whole load of problems that are bearing down on you, everything seems impossible to deal with. So being able to segment it into a few small things that you can do that might make a difference is a start. It's like anything. If you start doing something, something will change.
Yeah, absolutely.
But knowing that this will take time is really important. It won't all be perfect overnight.
Yeah, absolutely. And I say this as somebody who's got skin in the game on the subject of depression. I've had long periods of depression in my adult life, and so I completely understand. 6 months of my life basically sitting on my sofa in my pajamas because I couldn't function, so I get it. It's really hard. And I know that there are times when you're in a really deep depressive state that actually even the thought of messaging somebody or sending a text message or answering the phone feels really overwhelming. So focus on always focus on the thing that you can do. Even if that's today, I'm going to get up, I'm going to brush my teeth, I'm going to make sure that I've had a shower. That is a positive step towards self-care, and I don't underestimate how big a challenge that could be if you're in a really dark place. But yeah, focus on the things that you can control and the ways that you can look after yourself.
Yeah, and like, she's got 5 children. She can't deal with them all as one mass, but talking to one of them might be a good start.
Yeah, absolutely.
So break it down into bite-sized chunks, because it will really help. Thanks for that, Dru. That's really, really useful.